Hi and welcome to the Estelle Stop. That's a nostalgia Playdays joke for you. If you don't get it, I'm really sorry. I think I'm hilarious. Anyway, in today's vlog I am going to be talking to you about how you can tell your work colleagues if you've got a disability or a chronic illness. So what I'm going to be focusing on mostly is tips and ways that should you want to, should you need to, you can tell the people you work with all about your disability, what they can do to help you, what they can do in an emergency. But these tips will also apply to your friends and your family and strangers if applicable. So I think this is going to be good advice across the board, but I'm talking about it in the context of the people that you work with. So let's get started. If you follow this channel and if you know me, you will know that I have a disability called Sacral Agenesis. This has a lot of interconnected problems, and the ones that affect me the most are my mobility issues and my incontinence issues. Yeah, those are the ones that affect me sort of day to day. I do have a lot of other things going on. I suffer from migraines, I suffer from anxiety and depression. So there is a lot going on that people may need to know about. So the important thing to say first is it is your choice, and completely your choice, nobody else's. It is your choice if you want to tell people. If you don't want to tell people about your disability or your chronic illness, you absolutely 100% do not have to tell anyone. It is your choice, and you should only do it if you feel comfortable to do so. You shouldn't do it if you feel pressured. So yeah, it is very important for me to say to you that if you don't want to tell people, please don't tell people. Don't feel you have to. It's completely up to you. You should only do it if you feel comfortable. Whoever you tell, you should only do it if you feel comfortable to tell them. So that's the serious stuff out of the way. I have lived with my disability all my life. It has affected me from birth. So there has always something to tell people, which is why I think I find it quite easy to talk about some aspects of my disability. As you know, I have only recently started talking in depth about my incontinence issues, and I will link the vlog where I talk about those in depth below. It's taken me all my life to decide to talk about my incontinence issues because they're such a big deal to me and they're such a big part of my life. But it got to the point where telling people was easier. There are a few different benefits to telling people about your chronic illnesses and your disabilities, not limited to, it helps you. If you tell someone about your disability, they will easier understand why you cannot do something, why something is beyond your limits. Yeah, people do get it a little bit better if they understand what's going on. If you are just saying, no, I can't do that, no, I'm not going to do that, you will often be written off as awkward, which I have found a lot in my life, which again, it's your prerogative. If you want to be awkward, I say. You don't have to answer to anyone. But people do understand a little bit better if you explain. The other reason to tell people is if one of your conditions means that at some point your life will be at risk or in danger. Off the top of my head, something like a severe allergy or epilepsy. If they know that you suffer from specific conditions, they can better help you should the worst happen. And some conditions look a lot more serious than they are. For example, when I have a hemiplegic migraine, I lose all the feeling in one of my arms and one side of my face. My vision's blurred, my speech is very slurred, and I have trouble focusing and concentrating. And some of those are signs of a stroke. So by people knowing that I suffer from hemiplegic migraines, they're not going to immediately call an ambulance and waste everybody's time. So yeah, there are benefits to telling people. And one benefit I will just drop in there, just between us disabled people, you get some extra sympathy if you tell people. You might get an extra piece of cake. Somebody might make you a cup of tea more often than they would have done before. So it is worth bearing in mind the extra sympathy points. I am obviously, of course, joking. So yeah, there are benefits to telling people. But how do you tell them, you might ask? It's really tricky. If you've got a condition that perhaps, like me, may have been embarrassed about in the past, for example, my incontinence issues, the fact that I self-catheterize, I never wanted to talk about it because for me it was super, super embarrassing. It still is now. I still shrivel up a little bit inside if I have to tell someone, especially someone I don't know. Telling people doesn't come easy. So I absolutely get that. But me telling people in that vlog has led to a number of people getting in touch with me to say, actually, I suffer from this too, and I've never talked about it, and now I feel I can. And that, I think, is another benefit. If you tell people, if you tell a stranger, if you tell a work colleague, oh, I suffer from XYZ, and they go, oh my God, I suffer from that too, we can help each other. And I think that is another really great benefit. I personally have always mentioned the fact that I am disabled at the point of interview, because my disability means I have to have a lot of hospital appointments, I've had a lot of surgeries, I've had a lot of sickness, and I've had a lot of time off work. I like to be upfront right from the start and let them know all this. Then if they employ me, they've employed me despite those disruptions in my life. So I always make it very clear at the point of interview that I have a disability. I've never given them any more details than the name of my disability, so then they can go and Google it if they so choose. Which I know a few of them have. I don't tend to divulge any more information than that, other than I have hospital appointments, because I think those are, in general, important things to note. I think whoever is going for an interview, it is important to divulge information like that to your employer and be upfront right from the start, so it doesn't come back to bite you in the bum later on. So that's the first thing. If you're able, if you feel comfortable, mention it at the point of interview. The next thing I would say is, if you have a disability that will put you and your health at risk during work hours, it is important to tell people. Again, if you don't want to, you don't have to, but it might make life a little bit easier and it might keep you a little bit safer. So maybe mention to your colleagues, oh, X, Y, and Z happens sometimes. If you notice this, I don't need an ambulance, I don't need medical attention, or I do need an ambulance, I do need medical attention. And it just makes them aware, and should something happen, people are prepared to deal with it. It just makes it a little bit easier than something happening and then everyone sort of flapping around in a bit of a panic. And people do panic in these situations, and when they don't know what to do and they don't know what's happened, it can just make it a little bit easier to preempt anything that might happen. I think there are a number of ways to tell people. You could, for example, write a fact sheet about your conditions, things people might need to know, things that might trigger a situation, and if that situation has been triggered, things that might then help in that situation. If the people you work with have just a little fact sheet, maybe something just kept away in a drawer, so that if something happens they can whip that out and say, right, that's happened, we need to do this to help. So a little fact sheet can be a really good idea. And if you don't want to tell sort of everybody collectively, and again, you absolutely don't have to, it is absolutely worth telling your line manager or a person you trust at work. Like if you've got a work mum or a work dad, maybe just tell them so that somebody is aware of what they can do to help should a situation arise. If you have sort of a group email or a group chat or a group Facebook thing, you could perhaps tell people in there Just again, you tell them what you want to tell them. Don't tell them anything you don't want to tell them. If you divulge only what you want and need to divulge is what I would say. People don't need to know the ins and outs of your life unless you want to tell them. Like I am going to say many times, it's your choice whether you tell people or not. You are under no obligation to tell anyone what is going on in your life. Nobody is. People should be nice and kind and courteous and compassionate and have common sense, whoever you are, regardless of anything else that's going on that they don't know about. So absolutely, I will stress it time and time again, don't tell anyone if you don't want to. You can explain to people in really simple terms things that are going on. I have always had a big problem with people saying to me, oh, have you hurt your foot? Oh, what have you done to your ankle? Oh, what have you done to your leg? Because I walk with quite a pronounced limp. I walk really weirdly. I'm very embarrassed by the way I walk. And it really, when people say something to me like, oh, what have you done to your leg? It makes me, I'm clenching my fist just thinking about it. It makes me so angry that they would say that to me, because one, it is none of your business what I have done. Two, I wouldn't say anything to you about your appearance that would draw attention to it. And here's a quick rule for you. If you notice something on somebody that they can fix in less than 30 seconds, you can tell them. So for example, if they've got a piece of food on their t-shirt, if their bra strap's showing, if their tag on their jumper's hanging out, if they've got a little bit of lipstick on their teeth, if they've got toothpaste all over their mouth, if they can fix it in less than 30 seconds, you can tell them. But you should tell them discreetly and without drawing attention to it in a room full of people. So, oh, by the way, you've got food on your face. Just mention it discreetly to somebody. And if they can fix it in less than 30 seconds, absolutely go ahead and discreetly and subtly mention it to them so that they can fix that. If it is something that they cannot fix in 30 seconds, for example, the way they walk, then absolutely go ahead and shut your mouth. It is none of your business what they look like, what they walk like, what anything on them is like. Just don't say anything. Less than 30 seconds and they can fix it easily, mention it. Anything else, keep your stupid mouth shut, is what I say. Anyway, after that rant, oh dear, I will continue. So yeah, people have always said things like that to me, and honestly, it really upsets me. It sort of just puts me in a terrible mood for the rest of the day. So when people say things like that to me, I quite often say, no, it's a disability. And if I'm feeling nice, or if it's a person that maybe I like a little bit more than a random stranger on the street, I will say, no, it's a disability. I've got one leg shorter than the other. I've got a piece of my spine missing. Just simple information that, one, will make them shitty for bringing it up in the first place, and two, will just help them to understand that it is a disability. But I think the rule of thumb is keep your mouth shut in the first place. My original point was, you can explain things to people in a really simple way. For example, I have sacral agenesis, and it means I have a piece of my spine missing, and it causes a lot of other problems. And that's all you need to say. You don't need to go into any details if you don't want to. You don't need to even tell them the name of your condition if you don't want to. It's your choice to tell them. I will say that telling people increases awareness and increases understanding, and the more people that are aware of people that have disabilities, the more awareness there is, which in turn might make for a better and easier world for disabled people. We can live in hope. So I completely appreciate that it is really hard to tell people, and it's really hard to explain conditions, and you might be having an episode of some sort and you can't tell people what's going on and what they should do, or stop them from panicking. So I have found a really good solution for you. So this is a company called Stickman Communications, and I found them on Instagram, funnily enough. So I headed over to their website and I had a really good look around, and I think what they are doing is absolute genius. So basically they have a range of products that basically can help to educate people, to make people aware, and basically to help you out in any given situation. So they do key rings, badges, cards, books, status squares, which I think are a genius idea, all sorts of things. They do signs, they do stickers, so signs like that you can stick on your car saying please leave a gap, things like I have a hidden disability which affects me when you can't see it, stickers that say disability is not always obvious, hundreds and hundreds of different products for hundreds and hundreds of different conditions, all that will absolutely make your life a lot easier, and they are a brilliant price. So I bought a couple of products for myself that I'm going to find really useful, and I thought I would just show them to you now quickly. So first up is a stretchy bracelet, and you can turn this inside out. So it says now is tough but things will improve. So I can wear that. It's bright red, so people will see it and know that things are a little bit tough for you right now, which can be really helpful. It means that they might ask you how you're doing. If you want them to, they could offer you a cup of tea, they could offer you time out somewhere. So it's just a really simple way of showing people it's on your wrist, everyone can see it. And on the other side it says now it's not too bad but I need to be careful. So yeah, it just pops over on your wrist, and I think this is a really good idea, because my conditions, my mental health and my migraines and things are really changeable. So one minute I'm absolutely fine and the next minute I perhaps am crying on the floor in pain, or I can't talk to you because I've had a migraine set in, or due to my incontinence issues I have vanished and I'm in the toilet for half an hour. So yeah, I think this is just a really useful little aid just where I really like that. I'm really pleased with it. So the next thing, the big thing that they do are keyring cards. So these are cards, laminated cards. They're sort of just a little bit bigger than a credit card. And again, they do hundreds of these for hundreds of conditions, hundreds of situations, and yeah, so they come with the keyring and you pop the cards on a keyring. There's a little hole to pop them through. So like I said, they have these cards for hundreds of different conditions and situations, all of which the writing on them is really simple. The pictures are really simple. Anyone can read one of these cards and immediately understand your situation and what they can do, if anything, to help. So the cards I got are this one, and it says, I have depression. This changes the way I feel and process things and can mean I feel worthless, empty, exhausted, numb and alone. It is a condition I have to learn to live with. No one can just snap out of it. Even tiny things can be overwhelming and it takes a lot of energy just to get me out of bed. Please be patient with me. Easy. Anyone can understand that. You can show this card if you're having a tough time and they can understand what is going on with you and maybe know not to ask questions, not to bother you, or perhaps bother you if you want to be bothered. The next card I got is a really important one because I have a really big issue with this. So this is the next one I got. And it says, please don't touch me or stand too close. Don't take it personally, but I can't cope with it right now. I 100% of the time hate being touched. And sometimes if I am upset or angry or experiencing some sort of issue with my disability or illnesses, people touch me because they think it will help, and for me personally, absolutely will not help, and it will make things a million times worse. So this is a really, really good card, and they have lots of... This card is this one, and it says, I have hemiplegic migraine. During a migraine attack, I get temporary stroke-like symptoms. These include one-sided weakness, paralysis, difficulty speaking, and confusion. When having a migraine attack, I don't need emergency medical attention. Please see the back of this card for what I do need. And then on the back, there is a space for you to write the sorts of things that you need if you're having a migraine attack, so that people know what they can do to help in that immediate situation. And then there's like a laminated thing it comes with, so you can stick it over the back just to keep it all safe. The next card is very similar. It just explains that I have a migraine. It says basically, my symptoms can be so strong that I can't function. Opening my eyes can be excruciating and coherent thought impossible. Attacks vary in length. Once an attack has passed, the after effects can last for a few days. Again, this is, the language on it is really simple. Anyone can understand this information. You can give them this card and they will immediately know what they can do. So the next card is this one. And it says, I'm having a panic attack. It isn't dangerous, even though it feels awful. It will pass. Breathing slowly and steadily helps. See the back of this card for more helpful things. And then again on the back, there is a space to write things that will help you personally, and a little piece of sticky stuff to go over the top to protect that. And the last card I got is, for me, one of the most important ones. And this, there it is. And it says, emergency toilet sprint in progress. I have a bladder bowel condition, so when I need to go, I seriously need to go. So you can give this, you can show this card to people, and then they won't think you're rude because you vanished and had to nip to the loo really quickly and potentially for a really long time. So yeah, please, 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 please check out Stickman Communications. There are so many different cards, stickers, badges and things that will help you. They have little status squares that you can clip to your clothes to give people sort of a traffic light system of what's going on with you right now, so people can just gauge the situation. The last thing I got was a door sticker, and it says, please allow extra time, it's upside down, please allow extra time for door opening duties. And that will go on my front door. It will allow them just to leave me a little bit of extra time. I think that's a really good idea. Absolutely have a look at their shop, and I will leave my affiliate link down below. These are a really good little aid to explain to people. And these cards I think would be really good for strangers if you have some sort of episode out and about and you don't want people to start calling ambulances. Cards like these are a really good idea because it will just let people know that they don't need to panic, that you are okay and that you are happy to deal with it, and that you know what is happening and you don't need sort of any extra medical attention. Or maybe you do, and these cards can explain that. So please check out Stickman Communications. Because I am sure that you will find something useful for yourself on there. So that was sort of just a little digression of something that I think will really help you tell people. I think the main things to take away are, again, you don't have to tell anyone if you don't want to. If it is something that will affect you and put your life in danger or put somebody else's life in danger, when part of your condition causes an issue, then I think it is worth telling people so that they know what to do in that situation. They can help you or they can leave you alone, whatever you need in that situation. If they are a little bit aware of it, they can help you if you need help. So yeah, sometimes there is a right time to tell people, and if you want to, you can. And like I've said, there are lots of ways you can tell people. You can use something like these cards. You could make your own. You can make fact sheets. You can drop an email out to the people you work with to say, look, I have this, and when this happens, I would need you to do this. And whether that's get you a drink, get pills out of your bag, find an EpiPen, anything like that, they will know what to do in that situation, and that will immediately make your life easier. And I would say being disabled, anything that can make your life easier is a bonus. You could, if you feel comfortable, you could do sort of, if you have team meetings, you could do a little presentation of sorts to say this is what my disability looks like. Or you could keep it really broad. You could just raise awareness in general of disabilities and chronic conditions. You could point out to people who still don't get that not every disability or illness is visible. You could do a little presentation just to say this is what you think disability looks like. This is what disability is. If you choose to share your condition, it will ultimately raise awareness of that condition, and it will raise awareness of disabilities, hidden illnesses. We can hopefully work towards less stigma around disability and chronic illness. I am quite lucky in my current job in that I have an understanding manager. I work with predominantly registered nurses who sort of understand some things a little better than others will. So I'm quite lucky in my situation in that if I want to tell everyone collectively, I could do, and they would understand it quite easily. And I'm quite lucky in that I have a really robust, reasonable adjustment form in place, which helps people to understand that yes, I do need time off for hospital appointments. I will need time off for sickness. I do get more illness than sort of your average person, and by having these things in place and by me having an open discussion about these issues, I have really robust backup plans in place to protect me. So in my instance, telling people has been really helpful. It's been really helpful for me, and it's been really helpful for my workplace, because everybody knows where they stand. We know that there might be times I'm going to be off. We know that there's going to be times when I might be sick. We know that there's times when I'm going to need to do a hospital appointment. And sometimes at short notice, without warning, I can get some of my conditions flare up like that with absolutely no warning. So by having these open discussions initially and making people aware of what might happen and when, I've protected myself. So that's quite important to remember in a workplace. It is about you looking after yourself and protecting yourself. So having these open discussions, if you feel comfortable to do so, can be really beneficial to your work-life balance. So that's, I think, quite important. But again, only if you feel comfortable to do so. And any conversations you have in a workplace, if you want them kept confidential between you and a specific person or a specific group of people, that will be kept confidential. They won't, unless you want them to, unless you've asked them to, they won't be telling anyone else. So a lot of these things that I've mentioned can also sort of be implemented into your daily life. Things like these cards are great to carry around, and if something happens, you can give these to the people that you're out and about with. You can show them to strangers in the street that might have to be picking you up off of the floor for whatever reason, and in the moment it's easier. You might not be able to explain in the moment what's going on, and these little cards will do that for you. And again, you can get things like medical alert bracelets, medical alert necklaces. You can put information into your phone that says a little bit about what your conditions. You can get cards to stick in your purse that say, this is my condition, this is what you need to do if this has happened. And then anyone perhaps that doesn't know you or doesn't know your conditions can look at that and know instantly what they can do to help you. So even if you don't want to tell people, again, you don't have to, but having a little card in your purse or in your wallet or something on your phone that you can just flash at people when you need to means you don't have to explain anything, but they have a good idea of what they can do in that moment to assist you. And the thing I like about the Stickman Communication cards is that they give you the freedom to manage your own condition. By having things like these cards in place, you are ensuring that your wishes, when an issue occurs, your wishes are first and foremost met. So if you don't want someone to call an ambulance, if you show them this card, or if you can explain to them that you don't need an ambulance, and if you're able to at the time explain, or you can just show them one of these cards, I don't need an ambulance, it ensures that your condition isn't taken out of your hands and then dealt with by somebody else, somebody that doesn't know you. So yeah, there are huge benefits to telling people your conditions. And I will say, if you have told them, you then have no further obligation to explain yourself any further. You can say the bare minimum and nobody has any right to question you any further on that. So if people start asking you really personal questions that you don't want to or can't answer, you can tell them, no, I don't want you to ask any more questions. Or you can say, when you're first explaining it, I have XYZ, you don't need to know anything else, I don't want you to ask anything else. So it is important to put boundaries in place when you are telling people about your conditions. And if you don't want to tell them anything more than the bare minimum, again, you absolutely don't have to. It's your personal business and you only tell people what you want to tell them. So if people do start getting personal, you are completely within your right to walk away and stop answering any questions, or to shut that down, and don't answer or explain anything you don't want to. You don't have to justify your conditions to anybody, and even if you don't tell people, you still don't have to justify your condition to anybody. So don't feel pressured into doing so. I will say that letting people ask questions can be of a benefit sometimes, and by people asking a question, you are once again raising awareness of your condition and disability in general. So sometimes questions can be a really good thing, but again, only if you feel comfortable to answer them. It's your choice. Telling your family can be a lot easier, and chances are your family have lived with you and live with any conditions, so chances are they already know. But again, don't feel you have to explain yourself any further to them. Only tell people what you want and need to. Even your family, you're under no obligation to explain to them what you're dealing with. But anything that is going to make your life easier is worth mentioning. A lot of the things I have wandered off the point about can be applied to sort of everyday situations, not just at work. If you suffer from things like food allergies or allergies in general, there are places where you can get cards in different languages for the country you're going to so that you can show them to wait staff and to the chef, if that's applicable, to say in whatever language you like, I have this allergy, I cannot eat anything with this in it. And then it just makes things easier for you and easier for them. So there's a lot of help out there that is going to make it easier for you to either tell people your condition or make someone aware of something to make life easier for you. And I've already mentioned the medical alert bracelets that will give information about you. So if you suffer from bowel conditions, urology conditions, things like incontinence, things like IBS, Crohn's, diverticulitis, endometriosis, something that means that you might need the toilet in an emergency, you can get cards that explain that so that you can show that card to a shop or a restaurant or a cafe and they can let you use their toilet. And again, it just takes away the need for you to explain at great length. You can show them the card and they can let you use the toilet if that's what is needed at the time. So yeah, I will link some of these sites below where you can get these bits and pieces. There is still so much stigma around disability, around chronic illnesses, around mental illnesses, because people are ultimately afraid or ashamed or embarrassed or worried of the stigma that's going to come from them telling somebody. So the more people that choose to explain their conditions and issues to people, the more awareness is raised, which is a really good thing and can help other people in the future. One of the reasons I started this vlog channel was to raise awareness so that other people found it easier to talk about their conditions. So yeah, I think I'm going to end this vlog here, and hopefully I have talked a little bit about some ways that you can tell people about your chronic illnesses or disabilities or conditions. And again, I stress that you should only tell people what you want to. Don't tell them if you don't want to, and only tell them as much as you want to tell them. It's yours and yours alone. You don't owe anyone anything in terms of an explanation. And there are some good reasons to tell people, so bear that in mind. Hopefully some of what I have said has helped or will help you. If you've got any questions, drop them below. I'm more than happy to offer more advice and assistance if I can. I am more than happy to talk about my disability, so if you've got any questions, please drop them below. Love to hear from you. Thank you as always for watching. If you liked this video, then give me a thumbs up, and if you want me to do more stuff like this, then let me know. I will drop all of the relevant links below. Thank you as always for watching, and I will be back soon with another video.